Welcome back, class, to another live stream of Animation Collab, where I experiment with new techniques in my animation laboratory in collaboration with other content creators. My name is Sonja and I'm a motion designer. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I live stream every Tuesday and Friday. And if you'd like to support me, you can like this video, you can comment below, and you can share this video with your friends. And today we're going to continue the collaboration of the cybersecurity video in collaboration with Andy, who's a cybersecurity expert and has his own YouTube channel where he produces cybersecurity awareness videos. And if you haven't watched any of the previous live streams, you can catch up on my YouTube channels. All replays of past live streams are available there. And we've had a bit of technical difficulties at the beginning of this stream, so I hope everything's fine now. My internet connection still is showing up very slow, but so far we haven't had any dropped frames. So let's hope it stays that way, and let's hope we can keep this up. Do let me know if you have any questions about anything I'm doing today. Oh, sorry, I need to fix my seating position. Or if you have any questions about animation in general, After Effects, or anything like that. And yeah, today we're going to animate the template composition that I've been animating over the past few animation collabs. And it's going to be the composition that I used, or I will use, in multiple scenes throughout this video, and I'm going to be calling on those particular scenes with the help of these markers that are being called. Each set of markers has a linear statement attached to it, and then I can call each one of these scenes. And if you're wondering how that works, how this expression setup works, you can go back, I think, 1 or 2 live streams, and you can find how I did that. And I'm also going to be creating a YouTube tutorial, which you can watch me edit during my most recent work watching live stream. So that's also something to look forward to. That's still something I need to complete and finish editing and record the intro and outro and stuff, but that's also something coming to the YouTube channel. And today we're going to continue animating this scene according to the storyboard and according to all the animation that needs to happen in that scene. Actually, I already forgot about this. We actually already have, I think, all of the scenes of this screen animation, so that's already done. But what I do need, let's have a look at the storyboard. This is the storyboard. So the scenes, yeah, so we've animated up until here. So this is still something that needs to happen within that. No, I don't want your optimization suggestions. And so as you can see, this scene appears again. It appears again here. And that is the end of the storyboard. So I think it appears 3 times in total. Here it kind of just builds up and we see the framework for the first time. Then we see the animations within the framework, and then we see that whole animation again. And so it's more or less animated already. What needs to happen now is I would like this little character to point at every time during this 5th marker. Every time one of these items is getting highlighted, he's going to shift over every time throughout the entire animation. And the entire animation is until here. So this is where it ends. And we have this beginning bit. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to shift him. Yeah. And so he's starting to shift every time this marker kind of appears. So at the beginning of each section of an item highlighting. So I'm going to move him at that time. Okay, so he starts moving like 1, 2 keyframes before the marker. And that's his leg. I'm not using his legs actually. So I think I might actually remove these. I was going to use these animations at some point, but I think I've changed my mind now, because I think we're never gonna see the legs. So I'm just gonna leave that out. And yep, so that's the arm, but the body needs to be doing something. Oh, right, I see. Okay, so it's the eye and it's the controller for the body, which does in fact start 2, 1, 2, 2 keyframes or 2 frames before this marker. So 1, 2, we can use the same timing, and I need the rotation, and I need, well, I guess the rotation can be the same. And the position, and how many keyframes is this part? 20 frames, because we are animating at 25 frames per second, so 20 frames is good for any sort of transition, generally speaking. So, the marker or the... Okay, so I think it's... Yeah, it should be this one. And I think these keyframes are 75%. Usually they are, so I'm just gonna highlight all of these and make them 75% velocity. I'm using Motion 3, which is a paid plugin, but what you can do is you can either go into the graph editor and apply Bezier curves, which I don't know if you can see that on this one. You'll need, well, the speed graph is probably best in this case because we are talking about position and how fast this... I have a hair that is like right below my glasses and is poking me in the eye. Okay, so we are talking about speed in the case of position. So how fast is it going to get to the fastest position, and how long is it going to slow down? How long is this fall off curve? So you can use these handles to adjust that, and you can then also see how much the influence is. And if we go back and I click on it, you should have been able to see that it's 75%, but I think, I don't know if you were able to see that. What you can also do is you can highlight these, right click, go to keyframe velocity, and then you can also apply the velocity here to the... I usually add the same number to the in and out frames because I want them to be the same, at least in this case. So... Oh, it's the bottom one, so it needs to go slightly lower. It needs to point to this. But no, that's way too low. Okay, what I'm gonna do instead, I'm gonna keep him high, but instead he's gonna point to a lower position. So, and 1 frame after this rotation keyframe, this bounce of the hat happens. So I'm going to apply that as well. And then, yeah, and then the eye will also do stuff, but that's not essential right now. The more essential thing is the arm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same distance of keyframes. Hi, welcome to the stream. Same distance between the... Actually, if you have a lot of keyframes that you need to animate, it's a good practice to hide the keyframes that you're not using. And you can do that by clicking this shy guy. It's the shy switch. So I can turn these shy switches on all the layers that I don't want to see right now because I'm not using them, I'm not animating them. And that way I can have a bit more room in my timeline. So I'm just going to turn that on for everything I want to disappear. I think that's everything. And we can also remove this and the bounce, and I will keep everything where I have keyframes. And then when I turn on the shy switch, it just removes everything from view that I'm not currently using. And that way I don't have to scroll up and down all the time. So let's also close this. And yeah, now I don't see most of these things. But I did remove the hand. I put the shy on the arm as well. Obviously, I want to keep the arm and the stick. Those two things I do want to keep, so yeah. And now, as you can see, I don't have to scroll anymore. I can see all the keyframes at once. So these are 2 keyframes apart, so I'm going to do the same thing here, 1, 2. And the good thing is about the Motion plugin, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not trying to flog it to you, but it is a really useful tool, especially if you start animating professionally, because I don't now have to copy these keyframes separately as per layer, and then also I have to take into account that there's a sequencing going on here. What I can do is I can highlight keyframes on multiple layers, and I can clone them. It takes the sequencing into account and it pastes them on the layer it was on before. So, but of course, I want this keyframe. I don't know if the position of that keyframe is different, but yes, it was. So actually, I want the position to be different for this. And I'm also going to find out what the velocity, the influence, sorry, that's too low, the influence was. And that's 33%, which is easy ease if I'm not mistaken. Let's check that. Yeah, 33.3. I don't know what you call it when the 3 is like forever past the comma, but it's 33.333333%. It's a third velocity, a third of 100%. And that's just an easy ease, which is F9. You can press F9 to get the easy ease curve. It's like the most basic easing in After Effects. I spilled my drink onto my keyboard, my desk. No. Okay. So, also, yeah, sorry. No, I was just checking if my mic gain was too high because it seemed a little high there for a second. And I can also tell that my After Effects is being cut off a little bit. So let's squish this a little bit. And yeah, there we go. Okay. So now we have that. We have this. And now I want this to point much lower. So let's see. So, yeah, let's rotate the arm down. The stick probably doesn't. Maybe this character actually needs to go back a little bit so that the arm can actually point lower. Okay, so let's go down to here. I don't know if I should rotate the stick. Is that gonna look weird? If I like point like this. That way the arm can go higher, and you can also, if you're on a keyframe, you don't want to keep moving your time indicator to the separate, between two different keyframes, you can double click on a keyframe and change the value there instead of going back to it, because if I wasn't on a keyframe here and I made changes, it would create a new keyframe. That's obviously not what I want, but I want to keep stay on this keyframe so that I can, you know, change the value here, but then I can change the value here without changing my indicator. It's still too low, so let's not do that because it also looks kind of odd. What I would prefer doing, I think, is moving my character, and I want it to move in the X further back. And then the arm lower. So that's probably the angle it should be at. Let's say 30. But even further back. So let's get my character like to this position. And that might look weird because the character's moving backwards even though it's pointing forward. So let's have a look if that looks decent. If not, I'm gonna have to think of another way of doing that, but might be okay. Oh, oh yeah, I also didn't realize that it ends up being here, which means this actually needs to be just slightly higher. But I think that looks okay from the... Okay, let's have a look with the previous step. Oh, something, the hat is moving at this point. I'm not sure why. Okay, that happens sometimes when you use easing. It kind of moves things in between keyframes, even though the keyframes are supposed to be the same value. Sometimes when you have easing, the value like moves around and then goes back to the previous keyframe value. Sometimes you just need to apply the easing again and then it evens that out. What you can also do is go to the graph editor and you can highlight the keyframes that are supposed to have the same level, and you can add a frame hold. Obviously, a frame hold should always be on the last frame where it's supposed to hold, not the one that has that's supposed to do something. So this one is not supposed to do anything until it reaches this keyframe. So you could add a frame hold to that. You can also level out. So before, let's see if I can, yep. So it has this like easing going on. What I could do is I could level out this value. What would be the easiest way to level out this value? I think the frame hold would probably be the easiest, but just applying the ease again is usually a really good way of doing that. So this one has 75%, and this one has also 75%. So all of these frames have 75% ease. Actually, I didn't check the middle one because, yeah, it also has 75%. Yeah. Okay, definitely. So I can just apply the ease again and then it removes that weird trailing. Actually, it didn't that time. It didn't that time. So let's see if I can do that again. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't want to apply the easing. So if that doesn't work, applying the easing again, since this keyframe and that keyframe are the same, I can copy paste that keyframe. And now it's forcing this keyframe to perform the same way as that keyframe. So that works. So those are some methods that you can apply if you can't get the value to hold when it's supposed to hold. I don't like using hold frames. Sometimes you can just apply it and then remove it again. But I don't like using hold frames because sometimes it confuses me sometimes. So I don't use them unless I really want something to hold, because then I have to switch to something else. I use that for trim paths often when I have to switch to a backwards animation of something. So I have to switch from the end of a trim path going from 0 to 100 to then being 0 immediately, and then the start going from 100 to 0. That's hold frames work really well for that. Okay, let's have a look. Wait, yeah, there we go. I should play this back at shift. Whoa, that's really aggressive the way it like... I think that's a little aggressive. It goes really far back. At this point, I think it doesn't need to do that. Let's go like this far back. And like -3. Maybe that's better. It does look a little odd, right? Let's see what the preview... Okay, the preview is a little bit slow. I was just wondering why that was, but okay. Yeah, that's weird. This is a little weird the way it like goes up to go there. Not a huge fan of this. Okay, let's have this character go down a little bit and maybe I can do something with the arm here. Just a little bit of focusing while I'm doing this. I think that's okay. So that way it doesn't like move backwards to point at it. I think that might be better. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, and now I just want to make sure that... Yeah, it's like just as the arrow and the color arrives there, it's when the little character points at it. And obviously we're gonna have to do something with the eyes. It like looks back at the audience. It's like, yeah, you get it? You get what I'm telling you? So we're gonna do that secondary animation later once I've done all the primary animation. So now we're gonna do the same thing, and you know what? I'm just going to clone all of these keyframes, and then I'm just going to apply the new positions of everything and so on. And this should be, I always forget, is this easy ease or is this, yeah, that's easy ease. Okay, got it. All right. So then we have, now this character needs to move to the next position. Whoops. Sometimes I try to grab this, but when you're on the last keyframe, it ends up not grabbing the null object. Sometimes, this time it did. Sometimes it grabs the keyframe you are on, so be careful with that. Sometimes you just need to use the arrow keys on your keyboard just to push it away from this keyframe, the original keyframe, and then you can grab the null object. Okay, so primary and secondary animation is something that you learn in animation education, well, like at uni or at animation school, that the big parts of let's say a character, the body moving is the primary animation, like in a walk cycle. A walk cycle means it's a loop of a character walking. And the character walking, I'll show you one of my animations to illustrate that. I have a walk cycle on my Instagram. Oh, this window's slightly too big. Okay. Let's go to my profile and then I can illustrate that on a walk cycle. And if you are not following me on Instagram yet, you can do that. I share a lot of animation tips and tricks and funny skits and some like GIF and sticker style animations, a smaller, compact animation compared to what I share on YouTube and Twitch. So let's go back. It was quite a while ago that I shared this. Okay, so this is one of my walk cycles. So this is a walk cycle. Looks a bit crap. Let's use this one instead. I prefer this one. Okay, so the main animation is the feet moving in a looped animation. Secondary animation is something that isn't the primary thing the character is doing. The primary thing the character is doing in this animation is to walk. So the feet must be moving for this character to walk. Let me change the size of this window so you can see the full animation a little bit better. Right, so for the character to move, the legs and the feet must move. So that's the primary animation. But us as humans and most things in nature don't just have one movement associated with an action. So when we as humans walk, we don't just walk with stiff arms and nothing else on our body is swaying or moving as we are walking and as our feet are making steps, right? Our arms are swinging, our hands are swinging, and maybe if you have long hair, your hair might be bobbing, parts of your clothing might be swaying or bobbing, and all of these things combined we call secondary animation. So something that goes along with the main movement within the animation. Secondary animation can also be something abstract, like in this sort of thing, the secondary animation could be these like lines that create a decorative effect on top of the main animation. So if I was to say, okay, my main animation are these squares, then these lines that create a decorative effect, that's a secondary animation. Something like that. So something that is additional to the main thing that you're trying to show is essentially secondary animation. I hope I explained that well. I know I used a lot of words to explain that, but I wanted to be as clear as possible. I hope that makes sense to you. So let's place this little guy right here because I think it's that last item that gets highlighted for this one. Yep, it's right there, and he could be a little higher, a little further to the right, and a little higher. I don't want it to be too high because now we're going to start seeing his feet. I don't want to actually show his feet because I've already decided I don't want to animate them. And also, so in this animation, for example, his body moving is the primary animation, and his hand pointing is also the primary animation, but that the stick wobbles a little bit every time he moves his hand, that's the secondary animation. The hat that he's wearing, that's kind of slides along his head while he's moving, that's the secondary animation. And also when this arm, I'd like this arm to move a little bit as he's bobbing now, especially now when we can see the arm, that would also be considered secondary animation because it's not primary, it's not part of the actual movement, it's a consequence of the movement, if you know what I mean. I don't like how he's sliding. He's like, as if he was like just hovering through the air to get to that location. I don't like that. So what I can do is I can hit G, or I can hold Alt, wait, yeah, it's still G. And I can make this a Bezier. And what that means is, I don't want a Bezier on this side. What that means is I can make this a little bit more, I can form this curve, let's put it that way. So I can have him go this way. So he's sliding that way, and then he comes up like he's like lifting himself up and then pointing to that item. I think that looks a little bit better than him going diagonally directly to that point. I think this needs to take a little longer, so I'm going to actually something like this maybe. And I think this should be 75%. I'm just going to apply that to all the keyframes. I think I need to stretch this as well. 5 frames earlier, and this one 3 frames earlier. You can also do that by highlighting a set of keyframes, holding Alt and dragging the last keyframe. That way the keyframes in the center between the first and the last adjust automatically. But then it also happens sometimes that the keyframes in the center don't land on a frame specific point, but they can be like in between frames, and then you have to adjust them sometimes. It's a little bit annoying, so I try not to do it that way. There are also plugins that fix that, but maybe I'll do this at 100 velocity. Let's see what differences that makes. Because then he like zooms over there, but then goes up a little bit slower. Let's see if that looks any good. And that also means that his arm needs to snap back a little bit faster. So, 2. Yeah. Let's do it like that. And this was easy ease, I think. Yeah. And this one as well. Yeah. I don't know if this should be easy ease. Maybe this should be 75% velocity now. Yeah, I think in this case it's better. Yeah, okay, let's do it that way. And then he moves again this point, 2 keyframes before this, but this time I'm going to clone the previous keyframes because they are the same length, but I need to copy the positions of these keyframes. And these are easy ease. Okay, so and now he needs to travel to this point. And if you are putting Beziers, needs to be a little higher, I think. Right there, probably. Let's see. Nope, the one below. Okay. So when you add a Bezier to a keyframe, it adds it in both directions. So now it creates a funky thing here where it's going up when I don't want it to do that. So I need to remove the Bezier going up. Oh, okay. They were already, yeah. So I need to drag this back inside so it doesn't create this funky Bezier curve, because you see it's creating this weird loop that I don't want. But the loop is still there, so something else needs to happen. That's because the next keyframe, obviously, I mean, I don't know how obvious that is to you, but because I copied this keyframe, this one has the same Bezier curve. So I need to actually remove that one, because that's the one that's creating that little loop at the bottom. And I might be able to just click on it. Yeah, I can just click on by having hitting G on my keyboard and clicking on that keyframe that I'm currently on. I remove that Bezier curve. But with that, I think I also removed this Bezier curve. No, I didn't. Okay. Sometimes that happens because sometimes the visual interface of After Effects doesn't recognize which of the two keyframes that are visually lying on top of each other, which one you clicked on. So that can be an issue, but it did remove the correct one. But again, I don't want it to travel diagonally like this. So I actually do want a Bezier curve here. I just want it to look slightly different. So I want it to go straight up, but I need to remove this right one because you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, it has like tiny little dots here. That's creating yet another loop that I don't want. So, and if you click on a Bezier curve that you broke, it will reinstate the connection between left and right. So once you've clicked on it, to break it, you then have to use V, which is the move tool, to drag the Bezier handle. And I think I'm going to drag this one down as well. So it has the same like up and down, like moving to the right and then up movement. I don't know if this is going to be too high now because it does have the legs now. You can see the legs. So at this point I might have to animate the legs because he needs to be somewhat walking at this point. Although what I could do, instead of having him point directly up like that, I could have the character point to the right. I could have the character point up, further up. So that way we don't need to see the legs. Because I think I would like to avoid that. So it's a little bit lower, Yeah. So we could also do this one. But in this case, the Bezier would need to go up, not down. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's better to animate very roughly at first and then come back and try and put some detail into it later on before you get lost with animating all of the detail, because yeah, it's always good to do a broad piece of work before you do the details. I think that applies to most artwork. Okay, so now we have another one, and I think we have 2 more, okay? And then it's the end of that scene. Then we just, whoops, what happened? Oh no, did something wrong. Okay, there we go. To highlight it, and I want to clone it. Okay. Oh, I cloned it in the wrong spot because it needs to actually start 2 frames before the marker. Okay, there we go. Is this 2 frames before the marker? Yes, it is. Okay, now we want to add the missing keyframes, or the copy paste the correct keyframes from the previous set, because that's where we're starting. And then we need to go to the next one, which is back here. And now we can just point a little lower for this one. Let's say, yeah. And now, again, I need to change the Bezier curves if I need them. I think for this, I don't even need them. Not too much, but I mean, I can keep them, but what I definitely need to remove is the Bezier curve that I don't want, like this little loop that is being created here. I definitely don't want that, so I'll remove that Bezier curve, and I'll also remove this one because it holds some kind of weird loop, and I'll bring this one that I changed back to where it was. There we go. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Also, don't forget to save when you're animating. After Effects likes to crash occasionally. And this is a really long, it's a long movement, so I think I'll slow this down as well. And the rotation, because he's now moving backwards. Either I can do it in such a way that he like disappears and appears back again. I might do that actually. So instead of him sliding backwards, I can just have him disappear and then appear again. And let's see what that looks like. Maybe it looks weird. Let's see. And maybe I'll just do more rotation on this, -20. if you're disappearing, would you go backwards? Would you go forwards? No. Should be -20, I think. What's the velocity on this? That's also easy ease. Yeah, I think that's pretty cute. Maybe I can make this a little longer. 1, 2. And this is also 70. No, this is also easy ease. Okay. I think that's quite cute. Like, disappears, comes back. And then there's one more short distance. 1, 2, and I think for this I'll use these keyframes. But obviously with the values from before. Okay. I mean, that's quite cute, but it doesn't, the dip doesn't need to be so extreme, but we can keep the dip. Just not as extreme, and then we need to remove the other Bezier curve, this one. We don't want that one. And there's yet another Bezier curve that's being weird. Oh, hey, I moved something I didn't want to move. Yeah, this one, this weird one here. So also that one we don't want. I think, maybe. Am I moving something that I'm not supposed to be moving again? Let's see. Okay, at this point, it's a good idea to maybe go to the... Okay, I thought the graph editor would help me, but actually, I'm not really... I don't... No, this one I want, but that's okay. I can just bring this back. Sometimes you just need to move some Bezier curves out of the way to see which ones are disturbing your flow. Oh, no, I moved something again. Okay, so this one I don't want. Pretty sure that this one right behind my null object I don't want either. I just want this one that's going straight down. Okay, and then I want this one, which is just going down just a little bit. Maybe this one's too long. Let's see. So let's see what that looks like. It's going weep. Yeah, I think that's quite good. And then so let's get a position, and we'll just have him bounce up a little bit, and then out of frame. And I'm just going to lower the arms so it's not poking out. Maybe not that high. As soon as we see the gap between the legs, that's where we don't want to be. Okay. And hey, why is it not undoing what I just did? Okay, there we go. I keep hitting my easy ease button, but I need the clone button instead. And instead, this needs to be down here. And let's see what that looks like. Actually, maybe this should be part of the next set. Let's see. Because as this guy is moving out, the whole animation could go backwards, but I'm not sure if I want that. Let's see if I want that or not. Let's keep it inside of the scene for now, and then I can decide later what I want to do exactly. Now let's move to the secondary animation. Let's actually have a look at this, and we can have a look at it with the voiceover, because I think I have it in here. So let's see if I can just pre-render this entire thing, and we can preview that. And I can also turn on the sound for you. Okay, it's gonna take a moment before it's pre-rendered. Maybe we'll do the secondary animation on the next stream. Let's see. I want to keep this as compact as possible. Oh no, no, the arm is moving. No. We don't want that. Why is the arm moving? No. What are you doing? Okay. To finish the render. I hope it's not gonna try and render the whole thing from... seems to. Okay. Patience. Oh, it's not rendering? So it's not finished yet, but it's also not showing me that it's rendering, which is very irritating. Oh, come on. Okay, never mind. Let's just play it. Yeah, that's where the sound gives out, because it's not fully pre-rendered yet. The beginning of the eye animation, yeah, I really like it. We still need to add a little bit more. Obviously, the eye is now stuck where I stopped animating it, but we're gonna add that. That's part of the secondary animation that we're going to include. I'm really happy with how the eye turned out. The only issue is now the first character, the Andy character. So this is the hacker character. The Andy character at the very beginning of the animation, I animated the eye differently. So I need to add this style eye animation to that one. Oh, I realized that I did these frames differently. Oh. Oh, this is different. Maybe I should adapt these keyframes. I'll do that another time, but... Yeah, okay, so it's fully pre-rendered now. I'm gonna full screen this and we'll watch the whole thing. Oh no, it's... Okay, it's pretending to be fully rendered, but... Yeah, let's just play this back. Oh, that's bad. Okay, there's a weird slidey bit at the very end. Okay, let's fix that weird sliding at the end. I think it's here. Yep, so that will be some of the Beziers playing around again, which I don't want. This one, I don't want it. Okay. Did I fix it? And also at this point where it's dipping below, I think I need the arm to lower rather than go backwards. No. Unless I just need to dip this lower. Yeah, I'll just dip the character a little lower. That way we don't see the little stick. That's a little annoying. Okay, let's watch that again. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it can't handle the unpre-rendered. Hello? Oh no, we're freezing. Ah! Quickly, save! Don't do anything else when After Effects is being weird. Save immediately. Oh. Oh no. What happened? Now we're black. Ah, okay. At this stage, After Effects usually needs to be restarted. So maybe before fiddling around with After Effects and trying to make it work, we just leave the secondary animation to the next Animation Collab live stream, which will be happening next Tuesday. And this Friday, we're going to do Shut Up and Draw, where I will digitize the sketches that I did on my little notepad on last week's Shut Up and Draw. And if you missed that, you can catch up on the YouTube channel. All the past live streams are available there. And yeah, I think yeah, let's leave it there. Let's pick it back up next week. I think we had a good hour of animation today, so we can close it off for today. I hope you have a beautiful Tuesday evening. For me, it's evening. I don't know if it's evening for you, but it's still nice and sunny outside. If it's sunny where you are, go and enjoy the day. And yeah, if you'd like to support me, subscribing always helps me. I'm still a pretty small channel. Sharing my videos and liking it also helps with the algorithm and gets me seen. If you'd like to support me monetarily, I do have a Patreon. I also have a Ko-fi and a Buy Me a Coffee. Those are membership and donation platforms. If you'd like to become a patron, you will also get access to all kinds of expressions, project files, and all the good After Effects behind the scenes stuff that I provide to my patrons. Thank you to my existing patrons. You're making this thing possible. And I hope to see you next time. All the links are in the description if I haven't said that. See you next time. Bye.